And so at this time, I would like to invite Chris, Jim's son.
All right. First off, I'd like to thank everyone from... Wow, didn't see everyone when I was sitting down here. That is a lot of people. Good thing I'm not bad at public speaking. I want to thank Brennan and my Uncle Steve for warming up the room, because I'm going to need a lot of laughter during this, so be ready to do that. If it looks like I'm reading from something, I definitely am. I tried to remember this, but I could have wrote 1,000 pages on my dad. I only made it to 8, and I had to cut out stories, so hope you guys enjoy this. For those of you that don't know, I'm Chris, Jim's youngest son. Some of you may know me as Bubby, which is a name that my dad gave to me, and many of you called me throughout my life. I'm going to apologize. This is going to be long and probably a little tedious because I'm not that good of a reader or writer, so just bear with me. James Alexander McIntosh Jr. was born May 8th, 1946 in Arlington, Virginia. My dad was just a flat-out nice guy with an affinity for life, laughter, sports, music, and an orange cup filled with Bacardi and Coke. He told me many things that I will never forget, like relax, don't be an idiot, bleeping, thank you. You laugh because you all know it's true. Bleeping Redskins. They told me I couldn't say expletives here because it's a chapel, so I won't do that. Chris, do what I did. Marry a woman who likes sports like your mom because she will always understand. That was going to the Redskins and why we always are upset. Chris, marry tall. We need some height in the family. That last statement is probably the words I live by the most. He loved life, his friends, his family. Although he was married to 2 women, he had a special place in his heart for 5 guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, he loved those burgers, let me tell you. He loved those burgers so much that for his 66th birthday party, the guys on the block threw him a 5 Guys birthday party. Most of you were there. Burgers were great. Maybe that special place was in his stomach and not his heart. He was an eclectic man. He loved sports. Being born and raised in Arlington, Virginia, he was a huge DC sports fan, constantly shouting out obscenities during Skins games, only to be rivaled by my mother, who has the mouth of a sailor. When we drafted RG3, he said, I want to be around to see RG3 play. And not only did he get to see him play, he saw us win the NFC East, which I'm sure for everyone was nice. He played all sports, mainly baseball, basketball, and football. Now, don't let his stature fool you. Yes, he just stood at 5 foot 8 inches, but he could shoot a jump shot. Well into his 60s, he could hit a J but from beyond the arc. For those of you that don't know, that's the 3-point line. He would always say, and I was just told by my mother that I can't curse, so I won't quote this directly. He said, I could shoot the S out of the ball, but I couldn't dribble worth a damn. He often told a story about when he was in high school and he passed the ball a lot. His coach came up to him and told him, Jim, you can't make shots that you don't take. So he shot and made everything, and that's the way it went for a long time. He used that line on me multiple times in different contexts depending on the sport. He loved music. Being born in 1946, growing up in the 50s and 60s, and being a white boy, I bet you could guess what his favorite type of music was. Anyone want to take a guess? You're never going to get it. Yep, he liked reggae music. Did you guys think he liked country? Not a chance. Nope, he loved Bob Marley, and so many songs of Bob Marley's remind me of just how he was, being on trips at the beach with a drink in his hand. If you could look around the room, you can see that my dad didn't discriminate. It didn't matter if you were white, black, brown, green, blue, yellow, pink, he could get along with you. He was a white boy with soul, a brother of a different color. I'm glad that line went over well. I was worried about that one. He taught me many valuable life lessons, like don't chase the high heat, cows will go up steps but not down them, and to work smart, not hard. He constantly used that last line with me while practicing, but would always follow up with, work hard! That was very confusing for a child. He taught me how to play sports. He used to take me out into the street, and the neighbors can contest to this, and hit tennis balls at me as hard as he could. During BP sessions, he has always let one slip and hit me with a pitch. This may sound like child abuse to some of you, but this was quality father-son bonding time. And you know what? I was never afraid to get hit by a pitch, so mission accomplished. It's funny how things come full circle. When he would throw me batting practice and I'd be having a bad session and pissed and moan about how I couldn't hit the ball, he would yell at me, "Yes, you can, relax." Then I started giving him golf lessons, which was a horrible mistake in itself. He would piss and moan about how he couldn't hit the ball, and it was my turn to yell back, "Yes, you can, relax." He was my number one fan. I can only remember on one occasion him missing a game or wrestling a match. He was my coach, he was my best friend, he was my dad. He would go to work at 5:30 just so he could leave early to see me at a game or practice. And as much as some kids may have minded this, I didn't, because he wasn't there to push me. He was there because he genuinely loved to watch me play. And that in itself was motivation for me. My dad was a pretty well-organized man who took care of his possessions, but for the life of him, he could not hold on to a pair of sunglasses. We were at Ocean City one year, and he was in the water with people, and he saw sunglasses floating along, and he says, "Look, some idiot lost his sunglasses." When telling the story, he would always say, "When I got back to the beach, I realized I was the idiot." Of course, those were his sunglasses that were floating along in the ocean. Every time he asked me for sunglasses, I referenced this story. The last 2 pairs of sunglasses that I did get him were not lost at sea. He had them to the last day, so I'll give him that. My friends always joked that my dad had more friends at my high school than I did. My friends loved him. He was a fun guy and a great guy. He was one of those people that just attracts other people. He was funny, he was fun, and according to him, he was a great dancer. Any girl that I brought home or he met probably liked him more than they liked me. That's all right, that's just the way the world worked for us. He always told me I was blessed with every McIntosh trait. I got his humor, I got his athletic ability, I got his height, which, not really a blessing. I got his laugh and I got his good looks, even though everyone tells me I look like my mother. But we'll give him that one. So many times he said after getting a hug, "It's tough being a McIntosh," or "It's tough being this good looking." Yeah, see? No one's laughing because it's not true. He gave me a great sense of I can do anything attitude. He believed in me far before I believed in myself. He always taught me that if I worked at it, I could do it. He always told me that he was proud of me, even though he didn't have to, because I could see it in his face. That is something that will never leave my memory, and I hope that I instill in my kids' minds. That, of course, is if any of these tall chicks allow that to happen. We had our fights. 2 people who are so alike will. I did not make things easy on him during my school days, constantly yelling at me to do my homework and get better grades. Now, my Uncle Steve said that he never heard my dad yell. Now, maybe none of you did, but I've heard it many times. And it was ferocious. It's because he wanted me to have opportunity. Come to find out, years later, we had to get proof of him graduating high school for some insurance form, and they sent over his transcripts. Now, if he was here today, he'd probably be very upset that I'm telling this story, but he's not. So I'm going to tell you anyway. Now, mind you, he went to military school, which cost money, and it was not cheap. When we looked at the transcript, he said, "Oh my God, my dad was paying for this. How am I still alive?" It was at that moment that I knew where I got my amazing academic ability. On this transcript, you would have thought the alphabet was only 2 letters, D and F. Now, just so we're clear, we McIntoshes are not dumb. We just seem to lack that school attitude. He told a story that summed up our academic woes. He said that there was an old colonel who owned the academy that he went to. The man couldn't hear and he was old as dirt. He said that during roll call, this man would ask the students, "How long did you spend on your homework?" And the students would reply, 4 to 5 minutes, sir. In which the colonel would reply, 45 minutes, that's an A. And then after that, my dad would always say, "I never got that, teacher." During tests, they had booklets that they had to write in, and the more books you turned in, the teachers thought that was good. He said people would write the Mickey Mouse theme song, the national anthem, and these teachers wouldn't read them and give them A's based on the number of books. My dad said, "I never got those, teachers." And finally, after he said that to me many times, I said, "Yeah, Dad, I know. I saw your transcripts." He loved cars. He had 5 Corvettes in his lifetime, which I know begs the question, how many midlife crises can you have? He loved vets so much, but he must have loved my mom more because he traded in his last one to buy my mom a car. Now, mind you, that last one was supposed to be mine, so I'm still a little upset about that. One thing I had to personally cope with through all of this was the fact that he will not be here to meet the poor girl I marry, and that I know, the poor girl, so sad. And my kids won't get to know how great the grandfather was and is. I know I won't be able to talk to him every day, and some days we didn't really speak, but just shouted out Seinfeld quotes like, "No soup for you," or "Not that there's anything wrong with that." I just want to touch back on the nickname of Bubby real quick. I once asked my dad how I got the nickname Bubby. Where did it come from? He told me that he started out calling me Baby Boy. And as time went on and I got older, it evolved into Bubby. Eventually, Bubby was no longer what people called me. It had faded out, but every now and then I will run into some of you who have known me for a long time and still call me Bubby. I lost my spot. Hold on real quick. I'm dyslexic, so things are backwards in my head. Bubby, I hear, think back, da-da-da-da. Okay. So every time you guys call me Bubby, I always hear and I think back to the nickname and how I was his baby boy, and that I will always remember that. And what I wouldn't do to hear just one more, "I love you, buddy." Don't cue the waterworks yet. Come on now. Always declaring, "I never get sick." He started having symptoms in April 2010. At this time, I feel him and I started this journey together. I took him to all of his appointments and tests, just as he had a couple years earlier when I was having my health issues, and he took me to every appointment and test. By June, we knew it was cancer. By August, we knew it was stage 4. When he was first diagnosed, he didn't say, "Why me?" or anything like that. He said, "I'm going to beat this." And although he didn't beat the cancer in the end, he beat a hell of a lot of odds along the way. Stage 4 cancer patients don't usually last 3 months. He lasted close to 3 years. He was told a few short months in April. He lasted 10 long ones. At times when we thought he was down and out, he would power back and fight some more. But there's only so much fight that you can have. For him, he fought to the bitter end. He had a goal in mind and he made it there. It's funny how the man could fight cancer, a vicious disease, but when he was drafted and stationed in Vietnam, he got sent home for having mono. It actually wasn't mono, it was the common cold. For as strong of a man as he was, he also had a soft side. I caught him many times, and I know he's going to be upset with me. Teary-eyed to movies like The Notebook, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and Rudy. Now, if you're a male, you understand the Rudy reference. Everyone gets choked up. He was just so little. We relate to that in our family. There are 2 ways to measure people in this world. One is by height. My dad was 5'8" at his peak, and the other is by how many Facebook friends you have. Now, for my dad, this is not an accurate depiction. From what you see, that's not true. By the amount of people here today, he might as well have been 10 feet tall. In closing, now this isn't the last line, but I wanted to do this not last, but second to last. I just want to thank most of you, or all of you, and listen, it's been a long week for me. It's been a very long week. I've been running back and forth. They're making me work at the golf course. I can't believe it. I'm just kidding. I haven't worked at all. But I want to thank all of you for donating to Jimbo's Bimbos, which is the pancreatic cancer 5K team that I started for my dad 3 years ago. Our fight might be over, but the fight in itself is far from finished. Doing this may save someone else's life, your own, your children, uncle, father, mother. I could name 1,000 different family members that it could help, so I'm not going to do that. My last line, just so everyone's clear. When you all come up to me and say, "Man, you're just like your dad," it makes me happy. It makes me happy to know that this McIntosh apple didn't fall far from the tree.
I can only imagine how proud your father is of you, Chris, and all of you.
Surprised that I could write that much.